Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2, Episode 15. It is called Pen Pals. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. This episode has two main plots. They're somewhat a little related, but Wesley has the B plot. He's given his first command. He's given a little team to be in charge of to do some science work because they're in a sector where all the planets seem to be dying and I'm not sure why, so they're kind of investigating that. And then the main plot is that Data kind of, well, not quite accidentally, because he is intentionally sort of sending out signals as a sort of pet project, but he does encounter someone broadcasting from a planet. But the planet they're broadcasting from, this little girl, is not past first contact, therefore they're not supposed to interact. It's part of the Prime Directive, and it creates a bit of a pickle on the ship as far as what they have to do, especially since this planet they're on is kind of dying. So
the conundrum
leads to some debates, and obviously that's where the episode really kind of goes. So that is the gist of the episode. Connor, did you enjoy Pen Pals?
It's not the best. It's not terrible. The Data side is all right. It's not anything particularly great, but it's fine. The Wesley side does drag it down a bit, or more than a bit. Let's be honest. It's pretty rough.
Now, I don't like the Wesley stuff either. The Wesley stuff is just kind of one note. Like, it sets up this idea that he's, it's him learning to be in command and learning to sort of keep his respect. And there's a whole debate at the start about, should we give him command this early? And some of them are arguing for it, some are arguing against, and how it'll shape him as a young man going through adolescence and yada yada yada. But even if he fails, he'll learn some valuable lessons, and so on and so on. And we get a couple of scenes of him sort of like second guessing himself because he has to pick the members. He's got like his pick of the science officers to put on this little team. And there's the one guy who kind of questions him a little bit, not in a dickish way. He just kind of like, naturally, because he's older, because he's like in his 20s or whatever he is.
And let's be honest, more qualified.
Probably much more qualified, but that's not the point of this. The point is to train Wesley in command. He has to learn to keep his cool and give out orders and maintain the respect of his crew.
Do you know where he might learn that? At the academy.
Away from the show is what you're saying.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, but
that's what you're saying.
The point is, all these other junior members of the ship that have been through the academy, maybe they could do with a self-confidence boost of, hey, let's give them a try at command.
Maybe they do. Maybe they've all had turns.
Well, maybe, but I just don't know.
I know. Wesley's an odd case because by taking him on the Enterprise when his mother left, they kind of like, there was a whole thing in that first episode of the season where it was like, we're kind of taking on board the parenting side of this as well. Remember that? There was a whole joke at the end about each one of them filling in a different part of the role. Worf offered to tuck him in at night or something like that. That was a joke at the end.
I recall. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a little bit different to the others in that sense. But it becomes a little bit one note because, ultimately they're doing scans of various things and he wants to do this extra type of scan on this one planet. And the others in his team kind of say, I'll take like 5 hours to do and it's unlikely to turn anything up. So it seems like it's a waste of time. And they kind of talk him out of it. And he goes to talk to Riker and explains this to Riker, and Riker gives him a whole speech. And I didn't hate this speech actually, because he kind of he talks about Picard, and he's like, well, when what does Picard do? And he's like, well, Picard would get everyone's opinions, yeah, but then what would happen? He's like, well, then he makes his choice. And he's like, well, once he makes his choice, do any of us question him? He's like, well, no, of course not. He's Captain Picard. And he's like, why do you think that is? I thought that part of the speech was all right.
Sure,
for what it was. So then he goes back and orders the test, and you think that maybe this guy will argue with him more, and he doesn't. When he gives him an order, the guy's like, yeah, fair enough, all right. Start right away. And so, the story beat's fine, it's just very kind of like because there was no opposition when he went back, it was kind of like, okay, well, okay, lesson learned.
It feels weird that they didn't just do that the first time when he said, hey, let's do this.
Yeah, well, no, but the point is he had to come back and assert himself. That's not my problem. My problem with it is that when he came back, is that it was just that was it. Okay, done.
It was too easy. No, but that's my point. Is it felt like if they were gonna just go, all right, then we'll do it straight away when he came back. Why didn't they just do that the first time?
Well, because the point is he asserted himself when he came back the second time.
Okay. It didn't feel that different when it, to me, but fair enough.
No, I got that it was a little bit different. I felt the difference. It just felt weird. Like, I felt like they were setting up a plot where he was really going to have to, like, show his authority and put his foot down. And he didn't really, I mean, all he really did was say, no, I really want those tests run. He's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Plot over. More or less. I mean, they just show up later to give their findings because it relates to the other plot. But other than that, that's Wesley's plot over. Outside of a thank you at the end from Riker.
Yeah, it's a lot of time for very, very little actual character advancement.
Yeah, most of it's just kind of reiterating the same things early on as he's asking for advice, and like Riker and Troy are kind of saying, sometimes you have to also be their counselor, and you have to like understand where they're coming from, and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And that was fine. Honestly, though, the Data stuff I didn't dislike. I actually thought it led to an interesting debate. So he starts talking to this Sharenka, I think her name was, Serjanka, maybe.
Yeah,
and he talks to her, and then she starts, the second time he speaks to her, whatever, maybe some time has passed, she starts to say she's scared because of what's happening on the planet. There's like eruptions and things like that. Earthquakes, tectonic plates are shifting because of what's going on, and the dilithiums, we find out later it's dilithium sort of deposits underneath.
Planetary shenanigans is what this basically boils down to.
Yeah, but it's happened throughout the whole system.
Yeah.
And so Data goes to Picard, who's in the holodeck. In fact, the episode started with Picard in the holodeck. He wanted to go riding the horse, and Troy's with him for the exposition reason of having him explain why he wants to do this.
Because he likes horses.
Well, yeah, but it sets up the themes of the episode. Because he talks about how he wants a companion, and Troy kind of realizes that it's not just a pet. You want someone who's a companion who is sort of by your side, and that you want to care for the animal, but you want the animal to care, blah, blah, blah. But it essentially says what Data is going to go through in this episode, is what Data is going to care for someone, and it's not someone who's just a pet, it's someone who actually cares about, maybe an equal is not quite the right term, but...
Yeah, I think equal is stretching it a little, but not a pet, definitely, I agree with that. It's more respect than that. That's a whole different level of... That would be quite demeaning, frankly, given that it's a person. Yes,
but it sets up the themes of the episodes, and it kind of shows why Picard understands Data when things happen later. Because, in many ways, he should be pissed at Data, because Data has kind of stumbled into breaking the Prime Directive. Because Data comes down to the holodeck where Picard's with his horse, because he got interrupted earlier. That's why he's back in the holodeck. He got interrupted because, like, hey, these planets are all dying up here. That's how the episode started. And Data comes down and explains, okay, so I made contact with this being, this young girl, humanoid, and he's like, well, does she know where you're calling from? And he's like, well, I've kept that vague, sir. I've not specified I'm on a starship or anything like that. And he's like, okay. And he explains, okay, she's getting scared, her family are all down there, their planet's suffering from the same thing. I'm hoping that we can maybe find the cause and reverse it, yada, yada, yada. My favourite part of this scene, though, is when Picard says, and you want us to help them. Has her planet been in contact with space before? Or have they broken that boundary? Are they in space, in travel and things like that? And it goes, no, sir. He's like, oops. Picard just responds with, oops. And he's like, okay, we'll look into it, but you have to sever all communication. You can't talk to her again. And he's like, I understand, sir. And that's kind of that. But it leads to this really good scene in Picard's room, in his quarters, which I don't know if we've seen his quarters that much. We've seen his ready room a lot. I don't know if we've seen his quarters as much.
A couple of times, I'm sure. I remember in the first season a bit, like, when episode where we found out about his previous ship.
Oh,
so we had,
sure,
the chest in his room, didn't we?
It's definitely the first time we've had a meeting with all the characters in his room. As if it was the thingy room.
Yeah, ready room.
The ready room. Yeah, I said his ready room. He's got his office, and then there's the ready room.
His quarters.
Yeah. No, that's not his quarters. This is his quarters.
Yeah. No, I was specifying the ready room and the quarters.
No. There's 3 rooms here. You're mixing things up. The ready room's the meeting room.
Yeah.
Right. Picard's also got his little officey room off the bridge.
Yes.
Which is what I was referring to before.
See, the office one is what I would refer to as his ready room.
But that's not what he calls it. He calls the meeting room the ready room.
I know. But just generally speaking, that seems like a weird choice to me.
It doesn't matter what you want to call it. It's what he calls it on the show.
I'm just saying, it seems inconsistent with ship logic.
What do you want from? I'm going by the terminology used. I was correcting myself because I incorrectly called his little officey room as the ready room, when it isn't really the ready room. They've called the other thing the ready room repeatedly.
Okay.
Of course, now I've said that, someone's going to correct me and make me look like an idiot. But I'm pretty sure they've repeatedly called that meeting room the ready room. Anyway, we're in his quarters and everyone's there. Not Wesley, of course, because why would he be in this conversation? But like all the main characters are there, and it becomes this debate of like, well, what do we do? Like this planet is dying. There's a civilization on there. There's a population, and they're dying. And Data wants to help because he cares for one of them now. He cares for this girl. And it becomes this for and against based on the Prime Directive, and we have people arguing for it and people arguing against. The idea that this is kind of fate, if you believe in fate, and that this, if they're destined to die because they're always going to die at this point, then that's what it is. But then the alternate point that's brought up from Troy is that, yeah, but if fate's in play here, then aren't we a part of that too? Because we're here and we could intervene. Maybe that's kind of what's supposed to happen, which, you know, is a bit of a pickle. And you know, honestly, the idea of fate and cosmic fate and all that's kind of an interesting thing to bring up in Star Trek, because ultimately it's not really a system that's driven by beliefs or anything like that, and in that sense.
No, because we have no, or very, very little concept of religion in these shows.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm not saying, you know, this is a religion, but you know, the belief in fate is religious in its own right.
Yeah. More interesting part for me though is just the idea of like whether or not we should intervene. That's kind of using this as an argument to it for and against, but they're only one set of arguments. The other arguments being that, well, technically, if through calling Data and asking for help, she is actually asking for help now, which is it makes it a little bit different. It's kind of a technicality.
It's circular because she's only asking for help from Data because he broke it in the first place.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, she can't ask for help for someone she doesn't know. And Data's like, well, no, she does know me. And Picard's like, well, this is difficult because, like, okay, you're saying that this is just a natural occurrence, yes, but we could possibly fix it without them knowing we exist. Okay, sure, right? And, you know, Pulaski being a doctor's like, no, we should intervene. This is life down there. And that's also Data's point. And it's interesting coming from Data being the non-humanoid, or, well, not he's humanoid, but, you know what I mean, the non-human, the non-organic life form in the group, is that he says, no, this isn't a debate of, like, right or wrong. These are people. These are life forms that we should save because they're life. Surely that's a duty we should have, but if they're in trouble, is helping others, right? Just because they don't understand or advanced ways yet doesn't mean that they aren't deserving of help. They doesn't say all those words. I'm kind of, you know, extrapolating it.
In, yeah.
So really good arguments. And then Picard says, well, yeah, but like if we help them in this situation, okay, well, if it's a disease epidemic, and then if we help them in that situation, well, if it's a war. And we've seen multiple examples in Star Trek, both in this show and the original series before, of if there's two, you know, civilizations at war or two planets at war, then they don't intervene because that's their way. They have to get over that on their own.
Yeah, I kind of thought this was a strange argument, personally, in the sense that, you know, he's going, well, you know, if there's a dictator, is it our responsibility to overthrow it? And you go, no, but there is a difference between something that the civilization is choosing, not most of them obviously, but you know, that is something that's come from their civilization. That is a person doing that act.
It's the civilizations themselves that have developed that.
Right. Versus a natural disaster, you know, that, like, even, you know, in our own world, we don't go around overthrowing every sort of dictator. Don't get me wrong, you know, America might try at points, you know, but they don't overthrow every single government, you know, that they disagree with. But humanitarian aid in natural disasters is pretty much a given worldwide, right? It doesn't matter what the context of the people in the government is. It's just no, there was a natural disaster, we will provide aid.
I mean, that logic makes sense, although it doesn't quite work in the context of the Prime Directive, which is something that we do not have, and there's no equivalent of in the real world.
No, I get that. It felt like strange to say, well, if we intervene in this, we can do it in other things. Well, no, I think natural disasters are, even by our standards, they're a separate entity of anything that is man-made. So it feels weird that they don't have this kind of clause in there as well. That okay, no, we can do something with natural disasters. Maybe there's something that they do have going forward. I don't know, but it felt like a weird oversight to me.
Maybe this is just a different time. Whereas did people help as much in natural disasters in the late 80s? I don't know.
I would say so.
I would assume so, but I'm just, since you're bringing it up, I'm just like, yeah, maybe it was different.
You had Band-Aid in.
That's true. This is after Live Aid. Yeah.
The way around, yeah, whatever.
Live Aid, yeah. Band-Aid was the song. Live Aid is the actual event.
Whatever, you know what I meant. But that was then. So yeah.
True. I think it's an interesting debate that comes up. But in saying that, ultimately the why Picard probably gives in, apart from what's about to happen, is because of that distinction, most likely. Like, he can't go down and save them from war, but it is a natural disaster. And he says, "Look, sorry, Data, but like this seems to be the way it's going," and you feel quite bad. I think in the scene, and he's like, "Data, you have to like cut all communications." So Data goes up to the comms, and he's like doing, and he's about to turn it off, but before he's doing that, because he's hooked up to it, it plays the live feed of like her asking for help, and she's begging, "Please, Data, I need you. I'm scared." And Data's about to press the button to like cut the communications.
God, just like, damn it.
He's like, "No, I can't." And I think, and I like the ultimate message at the end where Picard, when Data tries to apologize for everything, we'll get to like all the stuff in between, but when Data tries to apologize, he's like, "Well, you don't have to apologize. You reminded us that sometimes our obligations are beyond what our duty is," kind of thing. That we should look out for life forms and people. And then also there's a nice little beat where he's like, "Hey, you regret, and you feel for her, you regret not being able to be around, and that her mind had to be wiped. That regret just makes you a bit more human. You've developed a little bit of humanity again throughout this journey." So I like this stuff for the most part, and then the other stuff had some humor in it. Like Data, because they're trying to contact down to get her to move her family. They can't contact her. What's happening on the planet's interfering with those signals. And Data requests to beam down, and Picard's like, "Oh, no chance." And Riker's like, "Yeah, you can't do that." He's like, "Yeah, but sir, you gave me an order to give her a message. Is there really much of a difference of going down or doing it in person or sending it over there?" And Riker's like, "Yeah, there's a big difference. You know exactly what the difference is." Dear. But ultimately, Picard gives in.
Protocol a little bit.
Yeah, well, Picard gives in because it's like, yeah, it's either that or nothing. Like, they can't do anything else. And I love so he goes down, he meets Sajanka, and she's
there's a funny bit in the transport room as well before they go.
Go on.
With O'Brien, where they come in, and I think it was right. He's like, "All right, O'Brien, just go stand over there. Pretend like he's like, I'll just be having a little nap." And, pretends to just doze off in the corner, and then Riker's like, "All right, okay, I'm going now. You know what to do?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that was very refreshing, little snooze."
Well, yeah, Picard tells Riker to manage the transporter. The idea being that an upper officer should do it because this is kind of against the rules. So they'll take responsibility as the captain and first officer. So now, but he goes down, he meets her. She's all excited to see him. Things are getting hairy with the earthquakes. So Data basically makes the choice to beam back up with her. And everything from here was pretty funny, I thought, because like O'Brien's like, I did think it was strange that he called her that at one point. That felt a bit mean,
dehumanizing.
Yeah, it felt a bit mean. He because you're taking that to the bridge. He's like, "Oh yes," and he shows up at the bridge. And I love that Picard's first thought is not, "God damn it, Prime Directive, Data, you've brought this life form on board." His first thing is he turns to Riker. He's like, "Did he bring a child onto my bridge?"
Say what you want about Picard, but he is nothing if not consistent.
And they're all so pissed at me. I do actually love how awkward the room is. Like, it does genuinely feel uncomfortable. Everyone else in the room knows that shouldn't be happening. They're all kind of on edge because of it. But when Troy tries to take her to medbay, she won't leave. She's scared to leave Data's side. So eventually Picard just has to sort of give in and be like, "Okay, you could stay, but keep her in line, Data." do your thing. But they solve the problem. They launch whatever they're launching, that Wesley's science team have done, and it fixes the planet, and she sees it, and she's like, oh, that's my planet, and she's all happy and mystified. Data takes the medbay, and Picard has ordered Pulaski to wipe her memory of to go up to the ship.
Just the recent stuff, yeah.
The recent stuff, yeah. The stuff that she's not letting know. And little nice beat here where she picks up with a stone that sings, and it sings a different little tune for everyone who touches it. But it doesn't work for Data, because Data's a machine. Which, and I almost thought to myself, it's almost a shame because he gives this to her, because he takes her down, she's asleep, and he gives it to her. And I almost thought, no, keep this around, because one day Data's going to pick that up and it's going to sing.
Oh no, what a beat that would have been. You could, it just writes itself, that beat, somewhere, in a few seasons' time.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they can get another one. It's not like they said it was a completely rare thing they can't get more of.
No, it wasn't unique. It was just like, oh yeah, it's just a thing, right?
Yeah.
She was using it as a paperweight, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Like the Thessalian orbs from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Giles was using one as a paperweight.
God damn it.
Because when Jerry goes to buy one from the magic shop, the guy says that he sells most of them as paperweights because no one knows what they are. And then it comes back later when Giles happens to have one that he's using a paperweight. It's a great long-term joke because it's like 6 episodes apart, but it's a great setup and payoff. It's great.
I regret opening my mouth sometimes.
Oh, so good. Quality.
Sometimes I think I'm making it a reasonable comment, and all that happens is you turn it into a goddamn Buffy reference.
You teed that one up for me. That was perfection. So that's basically it. And Data comes back up and goes to see Picard and tries to apologize. And Picard, despite the fact that he probably should be very angry about bringing the kid upon the bridge, he's actually quite understanding. He says, "No, my officer, my friend, was troubled and wanted to help something. It wouldn't, it bothered him, so I needed to help." And then ultimately, once he heard the girl's voice, he couldn't just let her die. Because that's humanity.
A nice person.
Yeah, it's humanity. It's just being a hero, damn it. This episode is not particularly loved, as I understand it. And it's not. And it's not the best episode. I think the Wesley stuff drags it down a little bit, but I do like all the debates that come from the Data side of things.
I think it's all right. I don't think I like it quite as much as you. As I had, a couple of nitpicks in the debates that felt just a bit off for me, and it's not terrible by any means. It's far from the worst stuff in this show. It's just very middling for me.
That's fair. I'd probably put it above a lot of season 1, like probably most of season 1. I
think for me it's kind of on par with a lot of season 1 personally. I mean, it's again not the really bad stuff in season 1, but the stuff that was just this is okay, it's fine. This kind of feels like more of that for me.
It's a solid 7 for me. Solid 7. I'm not saying it's great, but it's there's some good stuff in there. But that said, next time we have what the rating on IMDb promises to be a step up. It's called Q Who.
Oh, is it a Q episode?
It's a Q episode. Yeah, we're going to Q back because we have them twice in season 1, right? It's the start and then one later on.
End, about 2/3 in, I think.
Somewhere in the middle. It was when he wanted Riker to be his officer or whatever.
Maybe that was slightly earlier than I'm remembering, but yeah.
I think I want to say it was like maybe even still single digits, honestly.
Really? I mean, my memory is
I could be wrong,
just
but
playing tricks on me, but quite possible.
There was 26 episodes. It's hard to keep them all.
Yeah, I mean,
track.
Ultimately it doesn't really matter. There was definitely 2.
Yeah, it was before the puddle for sure. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
So Q Who, and like I say, very high average rate on IMDb.
Go on.
For an episode, it's got a 9.0.
Ooh, exciting.
So should be a good one. But I actually read the description for this already because when I was looking last time, I think I intentionally read it. Q tries to prove that Picard needs him as part of their crew by hurling the Enterprise 7,000 light years away, where they encounter the Borg for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like a big deal.
It does, doesn't it?
I will say, I am glad we're getting the first Borg appearance before we get to Picard, the TV show, which is coming relatively soonish. Just for some context. I mean, I've seen First Contact, so I have some context anyway. But like, just in the context of the show,
I'm familiar with what the Borg are, just because
But yeah, but it's nice to get the first appearance at least before.
No, it is.
We're
It is.
doing-
You know, I know the general concept, but I've never watched anything with them.
Yeah, so that's next time. Should be good. So, let us know what you thought of this episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation in the comments below. Like and subscribe, ding the bell on YouTube, get yourself notifications on YouTube. You can, of course, support us by rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars and a review. Helps where people find us. You can financially support us over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You do that for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses, some extra, some outtakes. So the $5 tier, you get early access to some stuff, including these Star Trek reviews. So go and have a look at that if you want to. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Star Trek, guys. And to everyone but Connor, live long and prosper.